What does it look like to live a meaningful life? And how do you know that in 5 or 10 years' time, you will look back on the decisions you're making today with happiness, rather than looking back at today's decisions with regret, wishing you would have chosen differently? Of all places, I found some insight into a potential answer for these questions in Jennifer Lopez's newly released documentary, Halftime. So last night, I sat down at 9:30 p.m. and instead of making the smart decision to go to bed, I decided to open Netflix. I was in the mood for something inspiring, something that might motivate me to dream or think bigger, which is something I've been challenging myself to lately. And JLo's newly released Halftime documentary was the ticket. The trailer alone gave me chills.
Part of being a great performer is being aware of
A strong, powerful, successful woman who owns her worth, who is unapologetic about things like her sexuality. A woman who breaks the mold in so many ways and says, "I'm just getting started," as she blows out candles on her 50th birthday. And she's rich, which is especially inspiring for me right now in this season as I continue to understand what it means to run a profitable business and as I navigate privilege guilt. So for all of these reasons, I pressed play and I was entranced for the next 90 minutes. The documentary starts off with some context. One note I was especially surprised to learn is that she never saw herself as the talented one amongst her sisters. Already some inspiration that some perceptions we have about ourselves are simply wrong, or at least malleable as we develop and grow. The documentary develops her story as a performer and the producer of the movie Hustler, which I haven't yet seen, but after this documentary, it is top of my list. At first, we see hints that maybe she'll get a spot on the biggest stage in the industry, and eventually it's confirmed. She's landed the spot as the Super Bowl halftime performer. But there's a catch. She'll be sharing this stage with another performer and another Latina, Shakira. I'll be honest, had it not been so clearly outlined in the documentary, I may have totally missed how insulting this was. JLo is the true definition of a triple threat. She has had a wildly successful career as a dancer, as an actor, and as a singer. Further, she represents success for women of color nationally and globally. And she's starting to knock down unjust discrimination in representation on screen and in payroll. Yet she was given half a halftime show to display her vast, successful career. Quoting the documentary, someone said, "It was an insult to say that you needed 2 Latinas to do the same job that has historically been done by one artist." And not only was this insulting, but then the documentary goes on to represent just how hard it is to summarize someone's career into 6 to 7 minutes, half the amount of time of an already short 13 to 14 minute halftime performance. And on top of all of this, Hustlers is being released in the same time frame as the Super Bowl performance. And everyone is saying that she is due for an Academy Award. Just how much that means to JLo is represented in one scene when she's reading from Glamour magazine. Her tough shell cracks momentarily as she reads. Frankly, it's thrilling to see a criminally underrated performer get her due from prestige film outlets. So what happens when all of this starts to pile up? Her receiving a spot on the biggest stage in the industry for the Super Bowl halftime show, but with another performer, and her receiving feedback that she is due for an Academy Award, until we soon find out Hustlers wasn't nominated for anything. I think all of us know cognitively that it's not too healthy to rely on external validation for our sense of self-worth. Myself, many of you, and many of my clients strive to answer the question, what makes a meaningful life, through our personal values, rather than through awards or outside recognition. But the truth is, we crave validation. Pulling from research that Brené Brown has made popular amongst others, we are wired to crave belonging and acceptance. We see Jennifer Lopez struggle with this narrative, being disappointed by others failing to show her the respect and the recognition she deserves. But also knowing these awards and these acknowledgements are not what ultimately matters. One particularly impactful scene for me is when she was on the phone fighting for her vision of the NFL halftime performance. She says, I'm trying to give you something with substance, not just us out there shaking our effing asses and effing belly dancing. I want something real. I want something that's going to make a statement, that's going to say we belong here and we have something to offer. I feel like all of us could adopt that as a mantra. I belong here and I have something to offer. I want something real. And another scene that shows her grappling with this and ultimately coming back to her values and her ultimate impact is when she reflects. When someone meets you, they don't say, oh my gosh, you've won 12 Grammys. They say, that song you wrote, it made me feel and it got me through. I tell this to individuals who are asking me when or if they can make a courageous leap in their career or in their life. Oftentimes we think we need our version of the 12 Grammys. Maybe that's a certification or a degree. And there is certainly a time and place for that, like an MD if you want to be a practicing doctor. But sometimes that external validation is just a nice cherry on top. And it's our job to make sure that we're staying true and we're staying centered with what's actually required and what's actually meaningful. So the documentary and Jennifer Lopez's journey unfolds as she recenters with what a meaningful life looks like for her. She stands powerfully in what message she wants to send, what values she wants to align with, and what impact she can make. Only her, with her unique history, her representation, and her success in this moment. And the halftime performance is indeed impactful and meaningful, as is the re-emphasis that she is 50 years old and she's still pressing forward to bigger and even more meaningful things for her life. Represented in the documentary with her singing at the inauguration and starting Limitless Labs, an organization that has already raised $14 billion for low-income Latina entrepreneurs. As I watched this documentary, I found one answer to that question. What does it look like to live a meaningful life? How do you know that within 10 years' time, you'll look back on the decisions you make today with pride and with gratitude versus looking back in 10 years' time with regret, wishing you would have chose something different? The answer is not too far off from what I've been supporting clients with for years. Clarify your values. Get honest about what you are authentically passionate about and start making decisions in alignment with those two things. But after watching JLo's documentary, I'm adding something to this list. Be effing loud about it. Dream bigger, bolder, dream uncomfortably. For some of us, like JLo, that means being a triple threat celebrity. I love the scenes in the documentary when she was flying in her private jet or having a crew of individuals help her get ready, but that's not the only way to be loud with values and passions. For you, being loud with your values and passions may look like daring to stay home with your kids, challenging the status quo, that you have to do more, be more, work more to be of value. For me, making loud decisions with my values and passions means stretching my limits on what I think I'm allowed to do. How big or wealthy or opinionated I'm allowed to be. Mixed in for all of us, I had one more takeaway from the Jennifer Lopez Halftime documentary. We are allowed to be wrong with our decisions. I see this with my clients so often, and I feel it myself. This pressure that we have to figure it all out. And not only accomplish, but accomplish perfectly and as soon as possible. There's this undercurrent opinion that we can't wait until we're 50, or that we've failed if we've changed our mind about a decision we made in the past, like how JLo has been engaged 6 different times. There's this idea that not only do we have to get it right, but we have to get it right in all areas of our life. So the last note I'm taking from this that I'm so inspired to feel and to share with you is a reminder that we don't have to have it all figured out. And in fact, maybe that's impossible to have it all figured out ever, let alone at age 28 or 38 or 78. But also, you don't have to wait to try. And you certainly don't have to be quiet about it. Take responsibility for your impact, get to know your values, and stay aligned with those things as best you can as you make decisions in your life. But don't keep perfectionism or someone else's stories or limitations or someone's lack of imagination from letting you live your life. If you enjoyed this, you will likely enjoy a similar summarized story and a different takeaway with Bo Burnham's $4 million decision. And it would mean the world if you would like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this with someone who may also be due for some inspiration and a kick in the pants to make a decision that's aligned with their values, with what they want in life, and their version of being loud. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. If you hear panting or scratching or breathing, it's this dude. My dog is sitting below and he's my audience member in real time.